Okay, ma'am, listen. You are, you're going through, you're like, it's kind of like, I shit you not, I was gonna say washing machine, and I did just turn my washer on. The Wheel of Fortune is representing you in this stage. So it's as if you don't know which way it's going to turn next. Like, you're really winging it at this point, you feel. And you know that you have guidance, you know that there's a higher power. Um, but it seems like you couldn't have ever accounted for how these decisions would, you know, get you to where you are. You couldn't have foreseen this, even with high intuition or um, with a lot of insight. You have structure and you have your intuition and you have all this intelligence and you know how to get things done, and that's cool, but that still wouldn't have told you where you would be. um Prevalent on your mind, it's a person here. um Words never spoken, things never said. um you really don't know what to make of the situation. I want to let you know this person is on the up and up. I just feel that, though it's like the communication that you did not have, you kind of fill in the gaps with what you think may be said. And you're being cautioned against that because you don't want to manifest the residual um, track of those types of thought. You don't want to put the momentum in those types of directions. It's almost as if you want to be like, okay, well, just let me down easy, or I can understand if you don't feel the same, or you have these some kind of sometimey type of, you have these scenarios that may, you're trying to, the gist of it, you're trying to be okay with it not going in your favor. When they say hope for the best and prepare for the worst, this is not what they mean. It's when you come into acceptance of a situation possibly not going the way you anticipated it or were ready for it to go, is not asking you to assume how it would sound to be let down. Just stop. The only thing is, there's much to be said. There's much for this person's, much for this person to say, and there's much for um, this to go. It's just not your time to make it go, if that makes sense. There's other universal events, celestial events that must take place first, and you're being um, put on pause, or some type of voided, you know, is like silence, but it's not silence. Everything is moving. Time is still ticking. Everything is going. It seems like there's a part of you that is on pause because it's waiting for this information, emotionally or well, primarily mentally. So there's a certain block you can't get over, or a certain hurdle that you can't jump just yet, because the gun hasn't even been sounded off. You can't even start the race. So it's like, having all this pent up energy to actually get going, but yet it's not time to start, if that's making any sense to you. So, like I said, this person is coming in as being um, very much who they say they are and as they present themselves to be. It's just that when it comes to, like, say, what they desire, or where they are mentally, or what they're what they desire, it hasn't been spoken the way that maybe you would speak it. You wouldn't say it. You may say it out loud, or want to say it out loud, and you did not get that chance. And this is something that, although you haven't gotten the chance to say this, you may want to hold off, because it may be told to you exactly what you want, coming out of another person's mouth. And I think communication has been an issue before. Now you're feeling the effects of not being able to speak on certain things, not being able to share certain things, and having this restrictive pause or this forced pause that you are not wholeheartedly comfortable with. You have to understand when you're not being communicated with, especially by the from this person, they're being guided in that same universal type of pause. It isn't a personal, I'm going to withhold, not like you're used to. No, this feels different, because if it felt the same, you already know how to respond. You've already been in situations where it was a tactic or it was being given to you as some type of punishment or a trigger. This isn't that, and that isn't this. Okay, let me see. So, in one way, it's like you're reassessing, what do you actually want with another person, without another person, because in essence, they really have to be the same. Like, truly, there's certain things that you can have with a partner or without one, and that could be a business. You don't have to start a business with another person. That could be a child you can adopt. There are surrogates, in vitro. Uh, there's foster kids. There are many. You could be a big brother, big sister. Um, there are a lot of different outlets for getting exactly what you desire, but not in the way that you assume it has to be. And this is what that divine pause is all about. Jupiter here is really just highlighting still. I mean, it's in a retrograde motion, yes, but the momentum will really pick up, especially towards the end of the year. We're going. I'm seeing October to December. It's gonna be high, high, high time. You're gonna start to see um, things really picking up towards what you have been wanting, and that's something that I feel like you haven't lost hope in, but I feel that you haven't spent so much time wishing and hoping. You've actually just been doing. It's not enough to try nowadays. You're just doing it. And that way the wish is it's in the back of the mind when you first made it, but now there's actual action. So it doesn't feel like you're fulfilling your wishes. It just feels like you're doing your thing. It just feels like you're doing what you're supposed to do. And that's a very good feeling to have, because you're not clouding your judgment or doubting your judgment and your actions every single step of the turn to see if they match up specifically with what you put on a dream board or to-do list or whatever it may be. You just find yourself looking at the things that you've already done or that you are in motion of doing and thinking like, damn, I did make that a goal for myself already. I did, already do this and this, and I actually superseded what I started to set out to do. So had I followed this pecking order or been more rigid with keeping up with every single detail of it, I would have missed the effortlessness part of it, where I was just doing it without realizing I was actually making my dreams come true or following this vision that I had. So it isn't as structured as you feel. Once you put it up, you didn't have to do anything else. And I think, and Abraham Hicks is really coming to mind. You don't want to put resistance on your train going in one direction. You don't want to put a hook a train that's moving in the other direction and cause that friction, that slow down, that resistance. You know what I mean? So it's already been notated. It's already been taken into account what you're desiring, and also it aligns with your life path. So you're going to get there, and you're naturally inclined to do the things that get you there. So it's not really an overthinking necessary on your part. I just think the overthinking that you are inclined to do, you're more inclined to do, is it's habit, but also assumption. You're not dealing with a person who has, few words. They have many words. It's just this, to sync up and receive those words is something that isn't being done. It's not time for it to be done. Now, don't complain when you get the diarrhea of the mouth and you can't get a person to shut up. Please think back to those times when you thought about it and said, I wish this person would be more open or make more effort to communicate or say certain things or, reveal certain things, and you can't get them to shut up. And they start telling you about their bowel movements every morning, and you really like, oh, okay, that's too much information. Oh, okay, now, mark my words. Listen to what I say now. It's just that simple. When you say what you want, that person that is actually aligned with that, when you get it, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, okay, they're sharing too much or they're telling me too much. Um, Now this person, I'm hearing they may gossip to you. When it comes to things that other people um, are secrets for other people, and they have trusted you. They trust you with themselves. And when they get to that point of being able to, when the green light is go, and they start to tell you more than you anticipated for them to tell you, you'll understand that it's like an uncorked bottle that has been shaken. It's had so much pressure because they have not had a confidant. They have not had someone where they can do these things safely with. And so there is a lot um, being held back. There is a lot that's not being said, but not in the form of manipulation. Um, and if they're other people's confidant and they find you as a confidant, this is where that oversharing may come in. Now they do, if they felt that you were a person that was messy or gossipy or um, couldn't hold water, then you wouldn't be on the receiving end of it. So just a heads up for that. It's gonna make sense. Um, what the pause is all necessary for. Saturn definitely is coming into play, and I did say that December time period, that's big with this Jupiter and Saturn energy, but more so because of how Jupiter is in retrograde, and also um, Capricorn season. But as cold in the northern hemisphere as it may be in some places, Cali's still gonna be like 70, 80 degrees, and we're not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna get in my feelings about that. Um, you never know. You never know. Texas did freeze over for a couple of days, about a week or so. They had no water, no electricity. That ice storm just came out of nowhere in a place that is very, very hot on the border of Mexico. So it just, you never know when they get to playing with this weather. But typically, wintertime, as we know it in the northern hemisphere, has to do with, cooler days, snow, frigid temperatures. Um, I'm from the, I was born in the Midwest, and I'm in the South now, so I've experienced weather in varying degrees, from below 7, below 10, all the way up to 110. So where you would normally be cold or, trying to stay in as much as possible. I think this will be the reason to stay in as much as possible. But I'm also seeing um, intentionally going out, but doing so together and staying warm. And it being another sense of warmth. It's not topical like clothing, but it's in that winter time period that this relationship really cultivates to something more close. It just seems like maybe it's too hot right now. hot for many, many reasons. It could be a lot of friction or just a lot of activity when it comes to where the each of you are. There is a governing force here, and I think that you may be connected in a margin way. There's something about this Aries energy that connects two people very, very significantly. And but it's also the Empress is showing up here too. And I feel like you both have a connection to the Empress. So it's not a one-sided type of thing. I do feel that it is very well balanced. Like you both have access to both of these energies, and therefore um, you don't use them against each other. You use them with each other. You're not you're not in a suspense here. You're not on pause and asking why. You're on pause and like, okay, so because I can't do this or because I can't do that, what else can I do? What else is there right in front of me that needs to be done? So there is more of a sense of diligence, but there's, you never forget there's still that nagging feeling that certain things still have to be done. Like you do have, and it's almost like in preparation, but it's also in anticipation. And it's like, okay, well, I can't do those things right now. So there is some frustration about it, more mental than anything else. And you'll start to see it in your sleep patterns or the types of things that you actually are dreaming about. But this can also ascribe to being broadened, broadened mentally. Now that there's more space, it seems like some of the thoughts that may have been cramped before are ricocheting. And they're ricocheting almost like what is that, pong, ping, like pong, where it's hitting the different area, the different angles and things like that. But it's like mm, you ever notice those matching things where you have to match the letter to the description or something like that. You're starting to, now these things are starting to line up to what they define, and you're able to kind of cancel out to seemingly random thoughts because they connect to another. Like one thought connects to a solution, or one problem connects to a solution. You have all these solutions swimming around in your head, and you have all these problems swimming around in your head. But now that there's a broadening and the walls are oh my god, my hands all in the way. Now that there's this expanse, those thoughts can really start to find their matches. So this will alleviate some of that rickety, or not rickety, like jittery or nervous or anxious type of energy, because now you'll see where the end and the beginning are of some of these thoughts that just seem to have no end or seem to have no place to go. They actually do have a match, and they're being resolved, and that's what this pause is for. And Mercury retrograde is actually going to help amplify this energy, especially with Neptune being retrograde. You're going to be doing away with a lot of I won't say useless, I'll say filler filler thoughts and filler notions that have been kind of swimming around in your head, taking up space. Your calm will be more calm. It will be um, something you can get right back to more and more often. It's like you're finally realizing what these pauses are necessary for after having been plagued by them for a while. It's like you felt almost like it was a punishment. So now you're understanding the need for the silence or the need for the break from certain types of communication. Because if we let you have it, universe is saying if we let you have it your way, it would never stop. There would never be a break. There would never be a pause. So when would you get to know yourself? And that's really what's important, because it's you, and everything is in relation to you. You're the denominator. You're the bottom line. So that's what the focal point always has to be with certain things. It's relative. Um, and it's like, okay, it's all coming full circle. You're finally getting it true. And now, all this time you thought you were waiting for something or waiting for someone or something like that, and they've already been there. They've already been, you know, that romance angel card comes to mind. You've already found the romantic partner you seek. And it's like, okay, who? And it's you. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't guess. You wouldn't know. It's not something that, you would have. I really don't feel that this is something that already has given you a bitter taste in your mouth. This is something that is it is easy. I mean, just confirmation after confirmation. That's just the feeling that I'm getting and have been getting. And again, it was further confirmed here. So it's like being in those uncomfortable situations, but not feeling uncomfortable. Other people may be uncomfortable, but it's something that you find comfort in. Is being outside in that 20-degree weather, but feeling warm, and being well covered and well suited. You're well prepared. You've had your level of warmth, and you left out of the house in that warmth. And still, the warmth is not even just temperature. Now it's your whole being. It's your spirit. It's your emotions. It's your mind. It's everything about you, because you're around somebody else who can weather those environments with you, and provide that warmth as well. This is something that you both can do. You both have ties to climate, to weather. You operate differently in the climates and in the weather. So, like, the warmth may be their niche, the cool may be yours, or vice versa. But even still, both of those aspects make up one whole um, scale, or one whole. It's a whole array of climates. And climate is not just weather. I'm talking about involvements, engagements, social, mental, financial. Like, there's certain things a person knows that you don't. And so they have an expertise, or they have the upper hand when knowing certain things about that. Even though you bring in good finances and you're good with finances and stuff, they have a different sense of what value can be. They can see it in different places. So places you probably have never ventured into, because their use of the climate is quite different. Um, I'm even getting the analogy where um, city versus rural, or things like that, where a person may be more city smart and another person may be more outdoorsy, or have more of a um, backpacking or camping, or you know uh, yeah, camping type of knowledge and know-how, and another person is quite clueless. And this is where gender roles don't even fucking matter. It's more so based off of the wisdom or the knowledge that you have and the experience, and this is where a person does um it allows a person to be vulnerable and to admit that they don't know, and it puts them in a position to learn, whether no matter who it is. Like, both of you have the ability to learn something from one another. So the climate change and just being able to be two parts, two whole parts to create one bigger function or one bigger portion is like, it's immense. And so this wheel is doing what it has to do. This Jupiter energy, this Saturn energy is really bringing a meeting of the minds, but also a meeting of means, a meeting of experience. Is bringing in a meeting on so many different levels. And so I'm looking at it here, and it's like you're not working harder. That's what you're not gonna do, and that is a concept that is hard to fathom, for someone who is so accustomed to having to do the work. Especially when I said, you're not trying, you're doing. But it's so much ease, and it's very easy. It's not that it isn't, that you don't have endurance, that you're not going to have to use endurance to do it, but because you're naturally, um, have an affinity or aligned with it, it doesn't feel as if it's hard. And so that's something where you don't have to think about it. You do have to consider certain things, but it's something you could do, over and over and over and over. And it's like, it's still giving you a sense of, like, I'm getting something from this. No one wants to feel like, their work is in vain, or the things that they're doing is not paying off. So you are working, but not in the way that you have had to work, where a lot of things have rested on your shoulders, and you're being seen as the solution to everybody's problem. It's not that anymore. So you do have all this free time and free space to just work. And with that, it's like, okay, this is different. So what am I adjusting? Because this has changed. Other things are naturally being, click, 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 changed too, and clicking into place in different types of ways. It has like multifaceted. It has multiple uses, or, um, time is one thing that's coming up. So now the way you use your time can be, manipulated in other ways, or the function of it can be used in different ways. They're like tools. Even, time itself can be a tool on your behalf. But finances, resources, the energy that you're using is not as much when you have the mental energy and the stress of it. Now, the mental energy is, huh, I could really spruce up X, Y, and Z, or I could really take up this, and that, or I can, spend more time doing this or that, or I can go here, or I can do this, or I can take a trip, or I want to see that movie, or whatever it may be. You're not, it's like you're finding time that you couldn't find before, because the mind was taking up a lot of that energy. The stress was taking a lot of, up a lot of that time. And so you're really now seeing how you can manipulate it, because you're being given ease, where you don't have to use so much mental energy, you don't have to use so much physical energy. It's not efforting, it's more so, um, you're giving, and you're being given too. And this is a good exchange, because now this is going to teach you the exchange that's necessary when you move forward in these next couple of months. You're going to, it's baby steps. And the thing is, the faster the wheel starts to turn, the better the better juggler you will be when it comes to your priorities, what you can do with, your manipulation of time, and what you can accomplish in it. You'll start to see that, Saturn will start to work with you, and you won't feel like it's against you when it comes to use of time or energy itself. You'll start to feel like you're being recharged quickly, more quickly. And before, it may have taken so much energy and effort to do certain things or get the momentum up or even the motivation, but you'll start to see that you have like a second wind, or that you still have the first wind, that you still have more energy at your disposal, and it doesn't tire you out, or it doesn't make you feel as if you're losing sleep because you're doing something else. It's really just, I have all this time, I do have all this energy, and I can do all these things and still get a good night's rest and still be productive the next day. I'm not paying for um, the use of this time. And I think that's what people don't understand. Um, they spend so much time stressing, or so much time thinking, or so much time worrying, that it costs them energy, and therefore they don't have the motivation to do anything else, and they don't have the quote unquote time to do anything else, and they really don't. Then they lose the desire to do anything else. So with this situation, with the work or whatever you do in the company of other people, and you're seen as an asset. You definitely are. Before, you were seen as the person who knows it all, and not in a bad way, but naturally, a lot of shit was just dumped on you, and it was like, okay, um, you're above me. You're above my pay grade. This is above my pay grade. Why are you still paying me this little bit and wanting all this shit? It's really no balance. And I think that wasn't a physical conversation or a verbal conversation, but more so the energy of this is not evenly yoked. Um, there's one of two things happening. Either you don't want me to evolve and get to the next level, or you shouldn't be where you are, and I should, it's seeing very visibly what you are actually made of, and what kind of position you're actually in, even if the position itself or the finances didn't mirror that. It was for you to come into the understanding that that is where you're supposed to be. Exactly where you see the error and where you see the flaw, where you're being put in a position that you're not getting paid to be put in, or that people of a higher position are coming to you for things that they should be handling. That's a direct reflection of you being misplaced and not in the leadership position you're supposed to be in, or in the role in the company of others who are supposed to naturally know more than you at the job that you're doing, or the career field you're in, or even if you're volunteering or have a mentor. Your mentor should be mentoring you on certain things, or should be in a position to teach you something. And learning goes both ways, but once you realize that the elder is not the elder and you are, that sort of thing, it kind of, it sits with you differently. Mm, it's not a secret that you are leadership material. In fact, people are actually speaking about that. And it's not something that you're going to be, given direct information about. It's not something that's going to be spoken about in your face, but it's on your behalf. So just because you can't hear it, when people are like, "Oh, you're being talked about behind your back," understand that in this context, you actually are. But it's in discussion, it's in deliberation. It's not in reprimand or anything like that. It's actually praising or appraising what you've actually been able to accomplish, or what you do, or what you add. This is something that I don't think they've seen in quite a while. The initiative that you have and that you take, it really does make a difference. And like I said, you're coming from a place of having to do so much effort, that now the little bit of effort that you actually have to do is done so well, because you're used to a higher sense of productivity, or demand on your energy to perform at a quick pace, or um, rapidly, or produce quite a bit of things in a short amount of time. So you really do have the speed, the agility, the endurance, the stamina, and the attitude that matches, that makes this thing, it revamps it, it gives it a fresh air of presence here. So this is why the pause is necessary with you and um, your little friend that's coming in on the horizon, because you have to be in, I was gonna say be in position, and that's one way of looking at it for sure. But that's something that would actually add more mental energy, which you don't need right now. So take in stride this clearing, this space, this time, this energy that you have an abundance of. You're you have to know what it feels like. You definitely have to know what it feels like to have this at your fingertips, because there will be a time when you're adding in more um we're not adding in more well, yes, you're adding in something, and therefore time that you have already freed up and designated, like you want to have your momentum, your routine, and even knowing that not all routines should be rigid. Have some fluidity about yourself, um, and be allowing. So this is a kind of, you will be taken for a ride, um, not in a bad way. This could be literal. It could be a little, riding at 2 a.m. with the windows down, listening to music. This could be just a day ride on a Sunday. You know what I mean? You're off on that day, or the sun is setting, and you just go watch it, and or walk around the park, or whatever it may be. It's those days are coming where your routine, or what you may do, it may change. It won't be a permanent change. It may be every once in a while, but you'll start to see that there will be more things to do with your time. Right now, you're just getting used to the expanse of it, to the freeing up of it, to having seemingly having more of it, when really you probably had more time and more and more opportunity to have time and energy to spend elsewhere before, but there was so much stress and just worry or anxiety with where you were, that you couldn't see it for what it was really worth, or that it was at your fingertips. And so now, later on in the year, when we come up on, towards that October through December time period, you'll be seeing that you're doing things that you weren't doing with your time before. And it'll shock you, but it'll also show you that you've always had this time, that you were always open, or you always were available for this type of thing. You just um, didn't know how to be available for it. And so, if relationships, or close, intimate friendships, or interpersonal relationships, and things like that, even family relationships, they'll be getting more focused now that you're in a space to appreciate space, appreciate energy in a whole another way. All this tarot shit, when we talk about time, divine timing, when we talk about energy and stuff like that, on the practical, mundane level, it's always present still. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna make you more hyper aware of these things that never end, that never stop, that keep going. You've just never seen them in this way, or felt them in this way either. You'll be feeling with your whole body, not just your skin, not just wind on your face or sun on your face or whatever it may be. You're going to start to be feeling this like chills running through you in a moment of appreciation or gratitude, because you'll know exactly what it is and what it feels like to be in the now, be in the moment. It's almost like you'll be able to have those experiences where you stop time being in the presence of certain people, or feeling as if time is stopping, and the energy is being spent very productively, where you get a whole lot from an experience, but the amount of time you spent isn't very much, because you're clear-headed. You'll be completely clear-headed. You'll be level-headed. You'll be financially clear. You'll be physically in good shape. And this is, from you're sleeping better, and then you're eating better, and then you're feeling better, and you're acting better. You're doing better. Like there's um like a snowball. It's a snowball effect, and everything that is being cascaded um is like bumps in the road. It's like they're now smooth. Like you have this, it's no longer um seeming like a big ass boulder. It's like a little pebble now, and you're able to just ride right over it, or it just skedaddles. It's like skids out of your path once you touch it, and it kind of dissipates. Hmm. You really don't have. There's some superficiality that will be presented to you in the meantime, in between time, and you're not really going for that. And that's a good thing, because you know how to use your energy. You know how to use your emotional intelligence. And we've talked about that here a lot on this channel, emotional intelligence. And so when, like, emotionally, when you're not ready for something. And you also know how to transmute that energy to turn it into, like, to channel it into something more productive or more beneficial to you. So if you can recognize a moment when, say people are trying to holler at you, or somebody catches your eye and their gaze just lingers for a little too long, you get all of these signals and these impulses, and not even sexual ones or anything like that. They are energetic, and it's really alerting you to even things that you may not be ready for, but energetically you're um it's like you're being primed, and you're being primed, and you're being readied for the thing that you're getting primed and primed and ready for, unbeknownst to you. But it's still, for those of you who are single and who have not met this character just yet, people lingering with their eye contact, or going out of their way to ask you something when they could ask anyone, or just in the tone that they speak with you. Or even if you see people who, you know, they're very cordial with you, and very polite, but they have more of a rapport with others, there's almost an avoidance to you. And that's because you, you're more powerful in presence than a lot of people are um, in stature, if that makes sense. There is something. It's it's kind of mysterious, but not really. It's more so unfuckwittable. It's like, don't fuck with that one, and it's just kind of cool. I really do like it, because this will um, weed out the real from the fake. Because the person that is going to be approaching you, um, they are going to come in full fledged. They are going to come in as they are. They are going to come in actually it's they're honestly going to be speaking. It's almost like they read your diary, or that they've heard, because some of your shit is not even written down, that they've just like looked into your mind and plucked out certain parts or certain visions or certain things like that. And what is really happening when they speak on these things, and you're like, oh, and it's aligning with what you've already seen or what you've already thought to yourself. It's like having a simultaneous thought with a person that you may or may not know. And at the moment that it's said out loud, you get those chills and you get that significance of it, that synchronicity of it. And it's like, that's my person. That's, you know what I mean? It's like as soon as they're speaking these things, you can picture it, you can see it. This is your clairvoyance really opening up too. So take notice. This space right now, this time that's freeing up, this energy that's freeing up, this is opening and broadening these sensory um, input and outputs that you actually have. So when people do approach you, and you know, with the, you know, those eyes, you're understanding what the look feels like, what kind of thought you get, what kind of impression you get. These are all your ESP, all your clairs really throwing off alarms and telling you what's going on, what's happening, what this person is about. You're feeling and sensing things, especially dark things, um, and you can almost sense like what their issue is or what their vice is, or to stay the fuck away from them. Hell no, you're not going that way. And it's an instant yes, or it's an instant no. So when this person that is a yes comes through, you'll feel it and you'll know it, because they're going to be speaking a language that only you know. It'll be English. You may know other languages, but what I'm saying is it'll be also vibration. So they'll be on that wavelength. They'll be speaking like some key words or like key phrases, or they'll have a certain motto, or it'll be something very similar to something you've already said to yourself, or already thought through and through and affirmed for yourself. And it'll almost be like they're speaking it verbatim. Yes, that's what I was going for, verbatim. And that's what will align you to that knowing, okay, this is what did my bestie say? Precognition. That part. And so again, here is Saturn's influence, but it's also paired with Mercury. So this is something that you'll actually be getting after the retrograde, I'm seeing. This is almost like I'm getting almost like confirmation. Um Upgrades, downloads, and I was just speaking on this tonight. So I definitely I can see it here. But those other offers coming in, they're going to be half-assed. It's like it's going to be a gesture or a hand, reaching out to you, but there's nothing else there. It's like it's not full, but when you see this person, they will be full. But they're coming in not with fancy or cloudy or anything like that. It's very clear, it's very straight to the point, and you cannot mistake what it is. And this is more resolute than anything, because not only do you see the gift of it or what they're giving you, because it can be taken out of context if you're not careful, but you can also see the person behind it. You can also see what they're really made of, their stature, how they're presenting themselves, their body language, and you'll be able to see that all of these things are actually matching up. And so what they're presenting you is a direct reflection of what they are, of who they are, versus other people showing you this presentation of something and it's really just nothing behind it. Um, that is learned behavior, but it's also learned behavior. So this people do run on this um, like high fructose corn syrup type of vibe, where the shit is sweet. Well, it sounds sweet, it may taste sweet, but it does a lot of damage if you consume too much of it, because there's nothing really behind it. There's no nutritional value. But what you're getting from this person, the person that is gonna step up and really show you who they are, they're gonna do so in a way that puts your mind at ease. But since you've learned how to put your mind at ease, they keep your mind at ease. And this is something that you'll notice above all else, because they're not somebody that brings you a high amount of stress. It's not a person who makes you doubt your decisions or second guess how you feel, because it's so honest and it's so to the point that there's no fogginess. It's just clear. And you're like, and you can speak on it. There's no fear about that. There's no withholding. There's no, if you're gonna say it, you're gonna say it. If they're gonna say it, they're gonna say it. And there is no fear how the other will react. And this is something that you've been needing for quite a while, because it just allows you to be yourself. Um, and in doing so, you're able to be vulnerable in a way and open up someone else's vulnerability at the same time. You're able to be most vulnerable than you've ever been without feeling like you could be betrayed by it. Because if it's so open and it's so on point and it's so honest, that it's like, if I said it, then I said it and I meant it. And it's not in a negative way. It's like, I said it because it was real, and I said it because it's true. And even though I may feel differently tomorrow, when I said it, it was real and it was true. So we always have that conscious decision to decide what we feel. And the moment we don't feel that anymore, we can speak on it then. That we feel something differently, or that we believe something differently, or see something differently. And what I really think is happening here is a sense of alchemizing. This is where people get more clear, even more clear about what they believe, because they have someone that they do go to those vulnerable lengths with, and they can use them as a sounding board, because they actually trust their decision to communicate in this way with this person, that they value what is being offered or what is being discussed in relation to it, and that also like fine tunes a person's like why they really believe what they believe and why they value it so highly. So it gives a person a sense of reflection, reflection on themselves, and a reflection looking at another person. And so there's a sense of being a mirror without in a different way, because the mirroring that you may be used to is someone um, emulating certain behaviors, or trying to um, mime you in order to stay in your good graces, or um, be a be in your presence, or in things of that nature. You'll just see that this person is naturally who they are. Um, there's no falsity about it. So, and you're just seeing that they complement you versus trying to be like you or to be compromising to you. They don't have to compromise a lot of things, because they just naturally, the things that they do gel well with the things that you do. And so if it is a compromising situation, it would be like, okay, whose turn is it to choose where we go eat? Or I chose something last time, you choose this time. Or it'll be some really small things. It won't be like compromising your beliefs or values, because you pretty much value very, very similar things, and also believe in the same higher power. It may not be to the T, as far as if um, one person grew up religious and another person grew up um, more free flowing. It's still a combined view that there is a higher power, and that's where you begin. You don't start with the specifics that have drawn two different types of worlds apart from each other, and made exceptions and rules and these rigid structures. You're more so looking at the full picture, that we both believe that there's something out here bigger than ourselves. And if it weren't, then we wouldn't be where we are, in your own lives, respectively, and together in a joint type of way. It's like it would be a kismet occasion. This is something that you both can notice. And so this is where you go from using this more structured energy and being very driven in your personal life to ultimately being able to be soft again, where and you may not have remembered a time when you were able to be this soft, not in the care of another person, because it was something that was short lasting or never fully got to that point. You've gotten these expanse of like emotions that came with knowing you were so ready to be in your fullness, in your femininity, in your, and it, for whatever reason, it got fizzled out really quickly, or the fire got doused, or there was an occurrence that catalyzed everything but what you thought you were about to go into. But you felt that rise, and it was at that peak of the rise that was always, once you got there, you can always get back to that specific point. And it's just that the descent, or the being dropped from that position, um once you realize that's not where it was going, you weren't able to sustain that vibration of height, of elation, of giddiness, of happiness, of joy, or how it feels to be in that feeling of joy when you are your full feminine self, when you can um, reign and open up in that plentitude. There's a difference here where now you feel safe to do so. And you can frolic, and you can twirl, and you can skip, and you can giggle, and all this pretty cute shit. No matter how much of a thug you are, or a gangster, or a mobster, we know these women have masculine sides that are very, very powerful, and can be compared to some really tough male figures that we've seen in movies and different things like this. Like, you don't want to piss off a woman like this in this spread here, because her 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 war side, I wouldn't say her bad side, I'd say her war side, or her kick into action mode, is quite fierce and not something to be played with. So you're dealing with someone who already understands who they are, and who has that clear cut energy about them. So there's no mincing words, there is no games, there is no um, guessing here, there is no assuming here, there is no um, ruminating thoughts about this. You've already learned how to get out of the ruminating stage and appreciating the pause, understanding you have more to do with this energy. And this is what your energy is being freed up to do. And you'll find, wow, I did have this. I always had this amount of time. I always had, but I didn't always have the energy. I didn't always have the free mental space. And it'll actually make your lungs feel like you can breathe clearer, easier, deeper. This will highlight more of a meditation practice for you. You'll start to see it amplify. Like, for some whose clairaudience is really on point, it's like you can smell the oxygen coming out of the damn trees. That's like, you'll be, and this is those walks in the park and different stuff like this, that deep breath in that you may take, you'll feel it like shiver throughout your whole body. And it'll just it's doing something to the aura. It's really adding a different hue to it. And you will start to be noticed differently in the outside world. They'll be looking at you like, what's gotten into you? Like, that's the kind of reaction that you will get. So people who do know you, once these shifts and changes start to occur, it's not a person changing, who you are. It's you feeling free to be who you fully are. And they do have an influence in that, but they're amplifying what you've already been in the works of doing. So they're not your other half. They could be a person that you do engage in a relationship with, interpersonal relationship. Um, and it's more so than that. It's companionship, it's partnership, it's a debate partner. It's I heard swatches, looking at swatches and shit. What are y'all painting? Like, what are y'all designing something? Is it a room? Are we looking at fabrics? What the fuck? But that's just what I mean. They're really, this is stuff that you didn't think that you would end up doing now with another person. This is something that um, I feel like some dreams we have for ourselves, and we can sometimes include other people. And I think including other people and the specifics of them is what stalls our dreams from coming to fruition, because it limits what could actually happen, what could actually be done. And so, with you just keeping in mind the things that you want, what you with this renewed energy, with this new balance of energy and time, and the expanse that you're getting, and the clarity of mind that you're allowing yourself to have, that you're finally able to connect certain dots, and go ahead and put those things to the side or lay those things to rest. You know, it's like shredding old papers. You're really cleaning out some things and making room for others. And now the things that are replacing it, the things that are coming in, do not weigh a lot. They don't take up much space, and but they etch certain memories, you know, and that is stored in a whole nother part with terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of space. You know what I'm saying? These can go sit in the subconscious and come out to play whenever they'd like, because they're not frightening, they're not traumatic, they're not any of those things. It's something that you can always, recall and regain. In as far as vibration goes, you can rematch um, the emotive aspect of some of these memories that you're going to come into creating. And this is where the key to manifesting is. So your manifestations may not seem as if they're coming in at light speed right now, but you know, hold up, wait and pay attention, because once they do start um coming in at lightning speed, it's because um your emotional levels will be they'll be more on the high end more of the time. Your natural vibration is going to be on another level, where you may be cool, calm, and collected the majority of the time right now, especially with this pause, this break in energy, and getting acclimated to not having to effort so harshly and so hard. Um, but once you start to climb back up those heights, you really don't see an end to it. There's like no glass ceiling. You see that this is something that you're gonna keep climbing into and climbing up, and as soon as you feel like, okay, I'm ready for the next, you'll do so without the fear of falling back or falling down, because the step is so secure. And that's really what this was all about. So that there was, anytime you've, fallen back a step or taken one step and gone back three, it's because of the doubt factor, and that it's like, you're not convinced. Come on, let's go. Let's go back to the last point we were at, and then let's try this climb again. So the more confident these steps are, you can attribute them towards the real deal progress, versus, okay, that's trial and error. It's like, no, now I know what I'm doing. I can step with full vigor. I can step with full conviction that this is where I'm headed, where I'm going, what I'm doing, and who I'm going to do it with. And even if they aren't here, I know how to do it with confidence, with conviction, so you're really at a point where you're unshakable. You've already dealt with a lot of your own shadow shit, and it's come to a point where, hell, you share a drink with this motherfucker and y'all are buddies. because there's a level of respect for what it was worth or what it is for, and you know how to use it and when to use it and why, or why you have used it, or why the devil energy has played you or chased you or kept you up at night. Now it just wanted some attention, and you've given that attention, you've done that type of work, and now it's just the rest part. Rest, but you're very productive. It's just that you're not running a mile a minute. You're pacing yourself with this one, and that this pace feels a whole lot different. So now when you do have to pick up the pace or more things come in for you to juggle, you'll be an expert at it, not a novice like I am with give me two balls and have me juggling and shit, and I can, just barely do that, but adding in a third, then adding in a fourth, and adding in a fifth, and now it looks seamless. Now it looks effortless. Um, and then you up the ante. It's chainsaws and it's swords and it's whatever, flaming arrows or batons. That's what I mean. You're gonna be adding in more things, and they have more flair or more severity or more importance actually. And so that will be the difference with a mere joker or jester versus a person who is an artisan and does this and balances plates and rides a unicycle. You know what I mean? I'm getting all these, you know, things. It seems like, oh man, I could never do that, or oh, like where does a person find the time, or how do they have that skill? And it started with one. It started with, breaking a few things. It started with, fucking up some you know items, and even cutting yourself or hurting yourself, or making a fool of yourself some of the time. And we've been there, we've done that. But here's the time where all this shit starts to just make sense and come into alignment. And you're like, well, damn. Okay, so now that the work part and the time part and the energy part isn't so difficult, well, what do I do now? And the answer is merely enjoy it. So you're being taught how to enjoy, and to be in joy without second guessing or wondering when it's going to end, because it's your choice if it does or not. And this has always been your choice. It has always been left up to you. And so now you don't have the resistance or the things to keep you away from it. Now it's just creating that space where you have ample time, ample opportunity to accept it as it comes. Now that you've learned the real valuable lesson of not giving so much and things not having to be so hard. So now this will transcend into your interpersonal relationships, friendships, family ships, social settings, work, whatever, and you will start to see just how much your lifestyle has actually changed and how you have changed. And somebody has already seen how much you've changed, or wants to see how you change with them. Like, this is going to be a long process. You're always going to refine and get better with time. And you have somebody here who honestly wants to see that happen. They want to see who you are when you're at your best, when you become the best version of yourself that you want to be or that you could be. They don't just see you as a person with potential, they see you very capable of being everything you're potentially good at or have the potential to be. So it knows no bounds. They really don't see limits for you. And this is a good person to be in company of. So I'm going to leave that there, and let me know how you like the reading, what you noticed, what stood out to you, and I will talk to y'all later.